Hello soulmates, welcome to the Honest Fashion Academy. So in this video I'm going to be showing us how I was able to finish this two-step peplum top looking so neat and beautiful. Okay, let's dive right in. Here I'm showing you the unfinished parts. You can see how neat it is. The peplum has not been attached to it. This is the sleeve and everything is just looking beautiful. I was able to to this point because I sewed the fabric separate and I sewed the lining separate and attached the two of them from the neckline. And then the sleeve is a balloon sleeve. Okay, I think that is a balloon sleeve. I don't know the name actually. And then it was finished very beautifully. So here is the peplum that I'm going to be attaching to the top. It's a two-step peplum. So this is the peplum. I'm sorry I did not show while I was sewing it, but I'm going to explain before closing the lining. So what happened is that the two step peplum was sewn together, leaving the lining for the under one. Okay, the one that is below the lining was left behind, while the one on top and the fabric for the second one were sewn together to the upper part. You can see the way it is. Then the zipper was attached. Okay, so we have the lining for the lower one and the lining for the upper bodice left not sewn. So that is the two linings that we're going to be sewing together to achieve the finishing that we want. So this is how we're going to turn it. Watch carefully. Good. I'm going to take it a second time. Okay. Hold it together this way and then turn it over and you start sewing. All right. If it's confusing, it might take you a little time to arrange it together. You can use your pin to hold them together so that you will not it will not be confusing. You will know where to sew and how to sew it. So I'm going to be arranging this to get a clearer view of what I'm going to sew before I start sewing. Okay, once you're able to arrange it properly, everything is just easy for you to do. So just follow the steps I've outlined on how to turn the lining and start sewing. Remember I said hold the fabric for the upper part. Okay, here I've finished arranging it and this is how I'm going to be sewing the lining straight up. So hold the first peplum on top together with the lining, hold the peplum for the dress on the second one, then leave the lining for the peplum that is below. That is the lining you're going to be using to turn the upper bodice and the peplum together. So this is me fixing it inside so that I can sew it neatly with my pin. I'll be holding it very well. So normalize using your pin to hold your fabrics together before you start sewing. It will make the job lots more easier for you to do very perfectly well. Okay, so we're going to be sewing. Bear with me, I'm still arranging my fabric to make sure it comes out fine. So let me ask you a question. Should I go ahead? Have you subscribed to this channel? Yeah, I need an answer. Have you subscribed to this channel? If you've not, please, what are you waiting for? I'm asking you, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to this channel. We'll be bringing you more beautiful videos on how to achieve neat finishing and other things. All right, so we're about to sew, and sew it half inch straight up, half inch straight up. You sew it down. So we have done sewing. I believe you know how to sew. For you to do this, you should know how to sew. So this is it. Wondering how we're going to come out. This is where we're going to come out from. But then we want to close this part. After you've fixed your zipper, okay, you want to close this part so that it looks all right round neat. So remember the two sides are open. For this part, we're going to be closing it entirely. right? And once you place your lining, make sure you're sewing on the zipper if you want to achieve complete neatness. This kind of sewing is called what? Backed out finishing, right? According to grammar, it's no longer inseam finishing, it's backed out finishing. So we're going to be doing a backed out finishing, like total covering. So we've joined it together, we've sewn it very neat. Now this is the remaining part that is open. What are we going to do to this part? We're still going to close it, but we're not closing entirely, so don't be afraid of where to come out from. Okay, so we're going to be sewing half of it. You can sew from the top down to the midpoint, then sew from the lower part up to the midpoint and keep the center open, and that's where we're going to come out. I mean, bring out the fabric or the top or whatever, just bring it out. If you don't understand the grammar coming out, you will understand bringing out, right? Okay, so we move ahead. Right, we're sewing it. So I expect you to do the same. So back to my question, have you subscribed to this channel? Oh, really? We're done sewing. You can see where my hand is. Fine. So the struggle begins. It's not just an easy job. You have to force it out, but make sure you don't tear your clothes. Gently bring it out. If you force it, you tear something, and if you tear something, you've spoiled what you're doing. So it's a gradual thing. Nothing is gonna spoil, right? Nothing is gonna spoil. Take it gradually. So long as your peplum stay is one that can be folded, you will bring it out. So this is what we have, looking so neat and beautiful. Are we done? No, we have to close the little opening that we have. You can see how neat this is. I'm loving this color. Like, red is just my should I say, it's becoming my favorite color now. It's becoming. So for us to close this part, what are we going to do? There are two methods you can use to close the little opening we have there, right? There are two methods we can use to close it. Number one is to use your needle and thread and sew it very neatly, like very accurately, with very neat finishing. Make sure you carefully sew it well, right? Remember, we've not ironed this clothes. We need to iron it for you to relax properly, so that when you're sewing, it will look very neat as even as you're doing it. So apart from using needle and thread to stitch it together and make sure everything is neat, we have another method which I usually use. Once I use the needle and thread to tighten the edges, then I will go ahead and use my hemming gum to put it together and iron it. In that case, you're not going to see anything. Everything will be carefully concealed. Make sure it is neat. So you can see how I'm going to fix the hemming gum, right? Hemming gum, and then I'll use my iron, hot iron, and press it down, and it looks so neat. I believe you got value from this video. If you do, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and see you later. Bye.